started.
I'd like to call this meeting of November 27th of the Romulus Community School Board to order. I have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Freyer is absent. Excuse Mrs. Buckley.
Here.
Mr. Kuderick.
Present.
Ms. Lanasi.
Present.
Mr. Minkiewicz.
Here.
Ms. Roscoe.
Here.
Mrs. White is present.
Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next we need the approval. I need a motion for the approval of the agenda, please.
I would like to
Go ahead.
make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. White, supported by Mr. McCavish. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we need a motion for the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting of November 13th.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Lanasi, supported by Mr. Kuderick. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And next, I'll turn it over to Mr. Weiss for the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. First up on our list, we have Mr. Clark with personnel actions. Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Members of the board, I have one personnel recommendation for you this evening. That is the resignation of Ms. Kimberly Fultz, a bus driver in our transportation department, effective December 1st, 2006. Thank you.
This is for our information, correct?
Yes.
Okay, next, Ms. Papazoglou, bills for payment.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. I'm recommending the board approve the following bills submitted for payment from November 15th through November 21st, 2006, in the amount of $767,168.78.
Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the bills for payment.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Buckley, supported by Mr. Kuderick. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next we have a resolution for community member Dean Burkroff. Will you read that?
At this time, we're going to ask the Burkhoff family to come forward, and Mr. McCavish would like to read his resolution.
Do we need to do this?
Yep. We can make a motion beforehand, or you want to do it
Yeah.
after?
Look, do the motion now.
Okay. Can I have a
I would like-
motion, please?
I would like to make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Support.
Motion by Ms. White, supported by Mr. Kuderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'd like to read the resolution, Romulus Community School District Board of Education Resolution. Whereas Dean Burkroff was an exemplary member of the Romulus community who made countless contributions that benefited numerous citizens, the Romulus Community Schools in the city of Romulus, and whereas Dean Burkroff was a member of the Romulus Senior High School class of 1943, the Romulus Alumni Hall of Fame, and the Romulus Board of Education, and whereas Dean Burkroff served in the United States Navy from 1943 to 1946, returned to Romulus to start his furniture and upholstery business in 1946, and coached Romulus City League baseball and basketball teams through the 1950s. And whereas Dean Burkroff was a member of the Community United Methodist Church, a volunteer fireman, and a founding father of the Romulus Junior Chamber of Commerce, and whereas Dean Burkroff was the proud father of 7 children, who were all outstanding students and members of the Romulus Schools band and athletic programs, and whereas Dean Burkroff was a member of the Romulus Schools athletic and band booster organizations, and often donated materials and the use of his building for the construction of Romulus School District homecoming floats, and whereas Dean Burkroff was instrumental in the construction and dedication of the Charlie Lowell Memorial Baseball Field at the senior high school, and whereas Dean Burkroff donated drapes that made major acoustical improvements to the senior high school band room and donated his backyard baseball diamond to the Romulus Little League for 10 years. And whereas Dean Burcroft endeared himself to hundreds of Romulus High School female graduates by giving each one a keepsake cedar jewelry chest, and whereas Dean Burcroft used his courage, persistence, and foresight to bring joy to the lives of his family, children in the Romulus Community Schools, and the citizens of Romulus. Now therefore be it resolved that the Romulus Board of Education, speaking on behalf of all the people of this community, does hereby honor and recognize the many significant contributions Dean Burcroft made to our community. Dean Burcroft was truly a man of distinction, an outstanding father, a community benefactor, and a community leader. Given this 27th day of November 2006, signed by President Celeste Roscoe, Secretary Nemo White of the Romulus Board of Education.
Okay, next, we have a group of our secondary administrators with a presentation on the Romulus Way. Mr. Dolan.
Thank you, Superintendent Weiss, members of the board. Tonight we have 5 secondary administrators, Mr. Hurst and Ms. Atkins and their assistants, and we'll talk about the Romulus Way. The Romulus Way, as you may remember, is a concept that was developed at the high school and has evolved to the middle school. It talks to and about a community of learners, and focuses on student and teacher relationships. Mr. Hurst, Ms. Atkins?
Okay, I'll start. I'm going to give you something. If you just hold on for a second. I notice we have you will notice we have a logo on this document, but I could easily, I was thinking about it while the Burcrofts were up here, I could have, instead of having this logo, I could have just had their pictures on this thing to represent the Romulus Way. If anybody in this community represents it, it's the Burcrofts. Sure.
You should have known that.
That's why I was upside down.
You did.
Is it on? There we go.
Yes. There you go.
Just, this is going to only take about 10 minutes, so it'll be brief. The idea is just kind of follow up on where we were a couple years ago when I mentioned to you that we're going to be putting something in place called the Romulus Way. The Romulus Way was something we wanted to put in place to complement at that time what we were doing with student behavior, which is something, a new behavior program we put in place called the responsibility system. It was missing something, and I felt what it was missing is character education. The idea was to bring on something or bring something on board that would provide or develop a culture at the high school and the middle school that we felt was good. The idea of teaching, having an environment where kids cared about one another, respected one another, and when you're trying to establish a culture like that, it doesn't happen easily and it doesn't happen overnight. We're going into the second year with it. And it also, no matter how much as adults we might want a culture like that, it's not going to happen until the kids buy into it. They have to have the ownership for it and they have to believe into it. So one of the ways I wanted to get involved or have them take some ownership was I think it was May of 05. I took about 110, 15 high school students, and Phyllis brought along about 40, 50 middle school students. We went to RESA and spent 2 days. I know Ken was there. I'm not sure if another board member showed up that time or not. It was it was a nice 2 days. It was the opportunity for kids to talk about what we wanted the high school to look at, talk about the Romulus Way, and we realized at that time basically the foundation for the Romulus Way was the 3 R's, respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. But again, I had to have them buy into it, and I had to have them define it in their own mind, what they thought it should be, how it should be defined, and what the high school and the middle school should look like. So again, we had teachers, other adults, and the kids that were there, and it was a wonderful 2 days. It was a lot of honesty, a lot of conversation, But the question is, after having something like that and spending 2 days with that group of kids, we walked out of there higher than a kite. But how do you transfer that back to the high school to another 1,200 kids that were not there and 500 or 600 kids at the middle school that were not there? And that was the challenge, and it continues to be the challenge. So what we did do, and now you can turn this thing over, I followed up with that RISA symposium the following fall, which had been the fall of '05. And we had a mini symposium at the high school, where I had all the students that were at RISA, all the teachers were at RISA. We hosted our own symposium where we involved all the students at the high school to do the same thing that we did at RISA the year before. And it was only in 1 day instead of 2, and we were working with 1,200 kids instead of 140 or 50, so it was a lot more difficult. And you didn't have the same hurrah, perhaps, but the message was still going to be the same. It's having the students at the high school take ownership for what the high school should look like, what the Romulus way how it should be defined, and what the 3 R's should look like and sound like. That was followed up. We started the year that way last year, and then this year we started up with this particular document. What I did is, and probably on the first page, first of all, this is our logo. I'm sure you've seen it before. But the second sentence in the in the paragraph, the second to the last sentence, to me is the most powerful thing. It says the power of this document is, of course, that it represents student voice and ownership. Now, when you open it, the idea was, and I had a ton of paper, and under this first one it says qualities we want Romulus High School students to demonstrate. I could have 20 pages just on that. So these are the comments that students said they were the most frequent. So you can just notice that. And then on the next page it has what is responsibility. Again, these are definitions of students. What is respect? Just keep flipping through. What is resourcefulness? Teacher responsibility for the Romulus way. It's not just the kids. Student responsibilities. And if you're with me, now you're on a page that says administration's responsibility for the Romulus way. We also have a role in making this work. And on the next page, if you found the administration's responsibility, look to the next page. It says the motto on the top of the page, definition of the Romulus way. On the top of the page, are you there?
We're missing the administration.
Do you see a page that says motto?
Yeah, we have.
Well, if you had to miss a page, administration probably should be the word you should be missing. So we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, so don't worry about it. So the motto at Romulus High School, we take the high road, and this is again from the kids that they selected. We genuinely care about each other, our school, and ourselves. We show respect by using kind words and actions, listening thoughtfully, standing up for ourselves, and taking responsibility for our own behavior and learning. This is who we are when no one is watching, even when no one is watching. Then the next 2 pages, hopefully you have the back 2, we asked what does it look like on a day-to-day basis? What should things look like from the cafeteria? What would we see if the Romulus way was in place? The classroom, the hallways, the building itself, and the sporting events. Now when you look at these things, we all want this. And I also know that we are moving in this direction. We're not there yet. It's a work in progress. But I think, again, if it's going to happen because the students themselves believe in it. And it is, just at this point in time, if you think about the 3 R's, there isn't anything that can happen over the course of the day that if you ask a student, whatever they may have done, those 3 R's are impacted in some way. And so we're constantly trying to reinforce that and have the kids look at it from that direction. Today we're going to have the assistant principals talk about how it's being integrated into the buildings, the middle school and the high school, followed up by 3 students that are here from the middle school and the high school to give their personal perspective, and then Phyllis is going to close it up. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda.
Thanks, Dan. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
At Romulus Middle School, the Romulus way is a foundation for everything that we do. It comes up in our daily conversations, be it preparing for the MEEP, doing a cooperative learning lesson with students in the classroom, hallway behavior, how we treat our cafeteria and the facilities, the beautiful facilities that we have in Romulus. The Romulus way is a foundation and a point of reference for all of us. And as educators, we all bring our different personalities. Teachers have different techniques, ways to deal with behavior in the classroom. but the Romulus Way provides a common language for all of us to reference to. 7th and 8th grade students need reminders about expectations, and developmentally we know through research that they need to have clearly defined parameters for behavior. So we have our Student Code of Conduct, which is a document dictated by adults. The Romulus Way really complements our Code of Conduct because the students have defined how they want their school to look and feel. And I think that is very powerful, as Dan said. And that's a component that we had been missing in our previous behavior system. Creating this culture, really the Romulus Way is about creating a school culture where students are empowered to make a difference and take ownership of the climate. But as Dan said, it takes a lot of time and effort from teachers, from administrators, from our support staff, from the students, and from the parents. And as an assistant principal, I find it very effective because the 3 R's come up consistently when dealing with behavior. I can always use one as a reference point. And specifically, how do you use your resources before getting involved in something that you end up having a behavior referral for? Students a year ago, before we kicked off the Romulus Way at the middle school, could not define resourcefulness. You can walk into our building, ask any student to define the 3 R's and to give you examples of it and how they integrate it into their student lives, and they can do that. 2 years ago, that wasn't happening. They know the terminology. We are now just working on them integrating it and internalizing it in their own lives. Some ways that we do integrate the Romulus Way, first and foremost, it's in our daily dialogue with students and parents. Teachers are talking about it in their classrooms. In our advisor program, we have a character education component where we are reinforcing and integrating 3 R's in our character education program, and that advisor is like a homeroom period, first 20 minutes of the day for the students. We also every week nominate students for displaying the 3 R's. We know that we have to put climate on the forefront. Climate and student achievement go hand in hand, and we have to consistently talk about student behavior in order to make the learning environment conducive to learning. So we nominate students every week for displaying one of the 3 R's. We want positive behavior to be the majority and not the minority. And it also, the Romulus Way complements our responsibility system, which we already have in place at the middle school. But the most important part of the Romulus Way is the student empowerment. And so I had brought 2 students here who represent the Romulus Way in every way. And one of the students, Dejan Frazier, if you can come on out. Dejan is an 8th grade student. He's honor roll student, football, basketball player, and was involved in putting together lessons to teach the Romulus Way. The first year after we had the symposium, we did mini symposiums at the middle school, led by adults first, and then we empowered students in their multimedia class to use their technical skills to put vignettes together, storybooks, of displaying the Romulus Way and then not the Romulus Way. So at this time, if we could show one of those. Steve? You'll see the main menu coming up. There's 9 different vignettes, everywhere from how to treat a substitute teacher when we have a guest in the building, to being on time to class, how to study for tests. Fashion show is how students can display the Romulus Way in terms of the clothing that they choose. So Dejan was actually, he developed the responsible vignette, and that's what we're going to show you. It's just about a minute and a half long. And this deals with classroom, taking responsibility in the classroom.
work with. Should have taken notes for this quiz. Susanna, can I see your notes in a minute?
No, Mac. Here.
Okay, class, put your notes away. The quiz is going to start. Okay, class, I finished correcting the quizzes. Most of you did very, very good. I'm glad that you guys are studying for these.
Man, I ain't never gonna do this again. I'm always going to class prepared.
Rhonda, are those students that designed this?
Yes, yep. So they actually, it was part of the curriculum in the multimedia class, one of the electives that's offered, and they worked in the Romulus way into that curriculum. So they did, we have 9 on this DVD. We just chose 9 of different categories, and then we actually met with the students and reviewed the Romulus way using this, and we used it as a teaching tool in the beginning of this school year. So it's coming from students, and it's their perspective.
Yeah.
So the fashion show, if we had time, is very amusing. But yeah. And another way that we hear students' voice is we have a school-wide climate culture committee, and students are invited to come, and we look at data, we look at trends, we disaggregate the data. We have students involved in that so they can see how they're behaving, and they also give input into strategies, and we've actually used some of their suggestions. So they're sitting with their teachers on the same level as their teachers, and they really appreciate being part of that. So I'm going to have Dejan speak, and as to his perspective, he hasn't been coached, he may be a little nervous, but we want them to speak about how they view the Romulus way. Dejan?
My name is Dejan Frazier. To me, the Romulus way is a law or rule that most schools should have. The Romulus way is respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. Students should obey this law. Students should obey this law, and the students that do obey this law shall be recognized. Just as our school does, we recognize students that obey this law by giving them things in recognition, such as certificates that you can spend called Bulldog books. As you know, we sell treats in our school store, and you can get something for free with the Bulldog book. You can get the Bulldog book by being noticed by a teacher or staff member for doing one of the 3 R's. The Romulus way is respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. To me, responsibility is doing what is expected of you without being told or being told more than once. Respect, to me, is following directions and polite greetings and to not go against or violate something or someone. Resourcefulness is using everything to help you achieve the things you need to know. Someone being resourceful will use a dictionary to help them find the meaning of a word. The movies I did were used to show the students the right way to do things and how to show and use responsibility, respect, and resourcefulness. I also showed students the wrong way of the Romulus way.
The next student we have is Amber Considine, and Amber is an 8th grade student at the middle school. She is involved in quite a few activities. She's a peer mediator. She's also a representative of the league and honor roll student as well. Amber?
Hi, my name is Amber Considine, and the Romulus way to me is the 3 R's, respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. But to me, as young adults at the middle school, the adults in Romulus Middle School expect us to be young adults. They expect us to display respect, to display responsibility, and to display resourcefulness. The teachers at Romulus Middle School want us to display the 3 R's by showing respect to the teachers and our peers. They want us to show responsibility by coming to class, being responsible for our actions, if we do something wrong, to fess up and say, yes, I did do this, and to be resourceful by using the resources that we have for solving problems. Like Ms. Henry said, peer mediation. We have the library. Ms. Henry and Ms. Atkins are some of our resources. Students could take ownership in their school because we are the students in the school. We have the power to decide what type of environment we want it. We can decide if we want it to be negative. We can have people not doing their work, play horse playing, acting up, or we can make it positive where people are coming in, doing their work, not getting in trouble, and just doing what they know they're supposed to do without being told. Some of the resources that we have, like I was saying, is peer mediation. I'm a peer mediator, like Ms. Henry said, and I feel our peer mediation group, we do take a big part of the school. Peer mediation stands for Positive Peer Intervention, where we started last year. It's where you can go if you have a problem, if you have a conflict, where you can go and solve your problem before it escalates to something that it doesn't need to be. And peer mediation has helped reduce referrals. It has helped reduce the IR slips and the behavior plans and stuff like that. How students, like Dejan was saying, how students get recognized as teachers. They observe us. They see us in the hallways. They see us in the classrooms. And they can tell if we're displaying the 3 R's. And if you're displaying the 3 R's, you're nominated Friday. That's Student of the Week. And you're rewarded with treats, like Dejan was saying, Bulldog Bucks, and certificates and stuff like that. And that's all. Thank you.
And at this time, Don Foley, Assistant Principal at the high school, is going to speak.
Good evening. There's really not much to say because throughout the whole program, there's a consistency that's going to go along. So a lot of what I would say would be repetitive to what Rhonda has already said and the students have already stated. The one thing we want to emphasize is the fact that we try in a daily situation to deal with the 3 R's with the students. When they come into our office a lot of times, especially at the high school, it's not a good situation at that time. But we stress to them what they could have done, the resources that were available to them, and make them answer those types of questions. What could you have done different? How could you have done it? And stress how they have to respect themselves and respect the other students and the teachers and the rest of the staff. It's very important that they understand that. We also go into their particular situation and see one of the 3 R's, or maybe all 3 of the 3 R's, would have been more helpful to each one. It's very important that the students work at this and it keeps being repeated to them, because the more that we can get it into their head that that's the way that they're going to do it, it's better for the whole program. It's what's really good about the program. It's going to make it easier for us at the high school with the job that Phyllis and Rhonda are doing at the middle school, because the kids are going to be brought up with that. So in the future years, it'll make it easier all the way through for all of us. One of the other things is through our Odyssey program, we send out occasional memos to emphasize some situations in the school and to have the teachers talk with the kids on a regular basis, use that Odyssey, those relationships that are being built in the classroom, and help them to respond to the kids and get that information across, especially about the respect. Respect not only for themselves, but for the school. Rhonda said about the fact that the fine facilities we have, and these kids, they don't sometimes realize that until they go to another school. And we have a lot of students that come in from the Mega League into our building, and they're just amazed at the facilities that our students have. And so we want to continue that aspect of it. One of the ways that I deal with it is in our Student of the Month meetings. I deal with the parents particularly in a good situation, and we re-emphasize the respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness, and how these students model that way, because they're being honored by their teachers, not only for being a straight A student in the Student of the Month situation, they are being honored for helping somebody pick something up, helping somebody that's having a problem. They're Also, we have nominations from our security staff because they see the kids in a different light than we do at times, not just in the classroom. And so we continue to do that. In the cafeteria, one of the things it says is that we are models also. In the cafeteria, Mr. Hoffman, myself, and I know Ms. Henry are always in the cafeteria, and we walk around and we talk with the kids. And it's very important that we be in there because things do happen. I mean, we got to be real. But by talking with the kids, going around, help the lunch ladies pick up the trays, ask the students, please pick up your tray, pick up after yourself, mention it to your fellow student if they didn't pick up their things. Keep reinforcing to them. One of the things you mentioned that you didn't have the part on administrative duties. Well, I just happen to have that here. And all the things I mentioned, it says deal with students, maintain a safe school environment, handle problems with respect, model the Romulus way. These are all things that we try to do on a daily basis. And it's going to be easier, and we can see the changes in the students. They know the answers. Now they have to really work at applying those answers to all the ways of being successful. Treat students fairly, be courteous, and have the resources available, and be very visible. And that's what we try to do on a regular basis. I don't want to get this going too long, so at this time I'll introduce Mr. Hoffman for his part of it. Thank you.
I thought we promised to keep this short. Basically, one of the things I wanted to just tell you about is a program that Mr. Hurst started, which allows students to recognize each other, because we know that the most powerful tool that we have is that peer recognition, particularly when students can identify a person in their Odyssey class who exemplifies the Romulus way. And in identifying that student, they're required to tell why, to have a discussion about what is it specifically within the Romulus way, within those 3 R's, that the student has done or demonstrated. And that causes quite a good discussion within Odyssey about who that student should be. And that happens twice a month, every Monday, so that there's students that are recognized continuously in that program. And I think that's a very powerful tool for reinforcing and integrating the Romulus way into our everyday culture at the high school. But we've asked a couple students to be here. I think Lindsay Johnson is here, so it'd probably be better if she explained it to you than I, because obviously there are stars. So thanks for being here. I'm going to turn it over to you, let you speak. Okay.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Johnson. I'm an 11th grader at Romulus High School, and I'm a member of the league. I'm also a SAD member. I was chosen back in October to be our Odyssey captain, and it was a unanimous vote. And I was really happy because I really think it's important for people to step up and be role models and try and get people interested. Let me be honest, my Odyssey was not interested at first at all, but I make sure I go up to the class every day if we have something going on important in the community or with the drive. We have a toy drive right now, and I'm collecting money even though it's past the due date. Until Miss Collum at the high school sends off the toys and the money and everything so that kids can have a nice Christmas who are a little less unfortunate, I'm going to continue to get dollars and toys and continue to collect things so that children can have a good Christmas this winter if they're less fortunate. And although the students might not care, I make sure I use incentives, like we're having a pancake breakfast. I make sure I tell them about the pancake breakfast to get them to help me with it. And I think slowly but surely they'll learn that it's not just about a pancake breakfast, it's about helping people. And I think it's really important to let people my age know who might not know. I always keep them informed about things going on. And that's just what I do at Romulus High School. The Romulus Way. The Romulus Way is respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. The Romulus Way to me is not just 3 words that make up a slogan, it is a lifestyle. Respect to me is respecting others, my environment, and myself. In my day-to-day life at Romulus High School, I treat my school with the utmost respect by picking up litter wherever I see it. I keep my tone in the halls at a civilized, reasonable level. I am civil and friendly to not only my friends and close acquaintances, but to new students as well, in order to set a good example and display the Romulus Way. The second facet of the Romulus Way lifestyle is responsibility. Responsibility to me is holding myself culpable for my actions as well as my schoolwork. I leave my education reputation as well as my school's reputation in my hands and no one else's. Resourcefulness is the most important aspect, not only in the Romulus Way, but a better tomorrow. Resourcefulness is a tool I not only use to forward my education for a better tomorrow, but also to turn a negative into a positive. Resourcefulness is using a bad situation as a window of opportunity for development. I close in the gap in a time of need. I use spare class time to study, and I'm always trying to come up with new ideas for growth and opportunity. In summation, I just would like to say how proud I am to be a student at Romulus High School and a member of the Romulus community. I take pride in my school and community not only by displaying the Romulus Way, but by living the Romulus Way.
And I think Ms. Atkins is going to close? You're the closer.
The closer.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. As you can see, this Romulus Way has become somewhat of a lifestyle, and I like to hear that. I think that was exactly what it was intended to be. It's intended to cultivate those non-cognitive ways that students have to develop in order to be successful outside in the world. You have to be resourceful. No one can tell you everything that you have to do in order to prepare yourself for your career and your job. You have to know who to go to. If you don't know who to go to, then you're going to ask someone. You have to feel comfortable doing that. And you have to feel powerful doing that. And that's what we want our students to be. We want them to take on their own power and use that in a positive way. And what we see every day is students doing exactly that. I'm not going to talk long, but I can see that we have students that are taking charge of their school life. And that's what needs to happen. In order to practice that, we do that on a daily basis, just like anything else. Excellence is a habit. It is not something that you are endowed with. It's something that you do every day, and you do it better and better every day. And our students are doing that with the Romulus Way. Thank you.
Great job, folks. Wonderful presentation. I think one of the things we can be most proud of. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
One of the things we can be most proud of is when our students come in and demonstrate to us that they display those skills, because those are things that they learn, whether they learn them in school or learn them at home. Those are life skills that are very important. I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to say that I've always been proud of Romulus, the buildings, the way the students, and you know, it is the students that are the ones that either make the building or break the building. But I'm very impressed that we have young people, teenagers still, that come here and tell us they are proud of their building. You know, that is so nice. And I think this program, although this was an 11th grader, am I correct on that? Yeah. You know, she obviously hasn't gone, you know, all the way through this program like some of our other students are going to go through. But I'm impressed to think she is proud of the building she's in. I think that says a lot. Being a bus driver for many years in this system and taking our young people, our sports, out to the different districts, and you see the buildings and their graffiti and how they have just destroyed buildings. It's terrible. And we bring our kids back here, and like you said, you know, outsiders come in, they see our buildings, and they comment on it. And, you know, I'm happy that our people take pride in that. I hope it continues. Thank you.
I think it's the Romulus way is very good because, you know, so many times everyone thinks of school as just your math and your English and your science classes and what grade you get. But, you know, school is where our children are 90% of the time when you really think about it, besides, you know, home sleeping and then you break that down. There's so much, and it's so important nowadays to teach our students to use everything that they can use. You know, use all their resources, and respect what we have here, and they're going to always be successful, no matter what level they're at in education, as far as their abilities. If they always take everything that they can possibly use, they'll always be successful, you know, and that's so important. And it's so good that we teach our students that, because if they learn to be successful in these 3 areas, no matter whether they're good in math or good in English or good in science or good in art or band, they'll always be successful somewhere if they take these 3 skills with them when they leave here. And I think that's great. I think it's really good.
Good job, folks.
Yes, very nice.
Good job.
Very good.
I guess if we don't have anything else, next we have communications and expressions from the public. I don't have anything in front of me. So we'll move on to items of interest from the superintendent.
Okay, we have a couple of items. First, something that's not on the agenda. I just wanted to update the board that we had our second of 2 budget development process meetings, and you can see the posters. Most of you examined those. We will have a report on what all those dots mean at our next board meeting in December. So we didn't have a chance to total everything up and give you a report tonight, but we will share that at the next board meeting with you. Next item, we have a thank you from our board president, Celeste Roscoe. Thank you to everyone at Central Office, the Board of Education, for the flowers and cards and many words of thought during this very difficult time for my family. Signed, Celeste Roscoe. We also have the Corey newsletter and the Barth newsletter in your packets for your perusal. And at this point, if there are any questions or concerns of board members.
First comment I have is we just wanted to apologize as a board. The Thanksgiving luncheon that Barth had, the Cookie Club kids had, we did not get the announcement until Wednesday night, and this was on Wednesday during the day. So we definitely, there's always a couple of us always able to make it, and we just want to send our apologies for getting the notice late. Other than that, does anybody have anything else?
Madam President, I'd like to just quickly congratulate the girls basketball team. They did win the district, and I understand they did a real good job in the regional as well, but the district, I think, was extremely tough. There were some really good teams there, and they came out the winners. So congratulations to the girls basketball.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything else tonight? I guess if we don't have anything else, we can get a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn. Support.
Motion by Ms. Buckley, supported by Ms. White. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.